If you could add any object to your collection, what would it be?
If I could add any object, like any fossil to the collection, what would it be? Well, if you were to go down into our paleontology collections room, you would see that there's a whiteboard there on which John has written, our collections manager, John has written a list of amazing fossils that we would like to find. And realistically, we don't actually expect to find these fossils because they're so exceedingly rare. So I think most of the really rare ones are the large land animals that lived here during the Miocene, like the elephant, the rhino. We would love to find an elephant skeleton in the cliffs. This would be an elephant that died and floated out into the Miocene Ocean and then sank to the bottom, and the sediments entombed it. And now, 15 million years later, we were to find it. That would be like the icing on the cake of my career.
What's the strangest thing to ever happen in your museum?
What's the strangest thing to have happened in our museum? I got hired. I mean, it just seems like so amazing that somebody from Alberta, Canada would have been able to come here and without any prior experience working in the Miocene, to be hired here as the curator of paleontology. I mean, initially there was a steep learning curve. I had no experience in the Miocene, I had no experience with a marine oceanic environment. And so everything was new to me, and it was very exciting, and there was a lot to learn. And there were a lot of people who were very helpful in helping me to learn and taking me out along the cliffs and showing me the ropes and showing me the fossils and how to collect fossils. So that was very exciting for me. And I've been very, very happy to have been in this position now for 22 years.
How does someone become a curator?
How does someone become a curator? Well, first of all, you have to do the schooling. You have to be passionate about the topic, the subject area that is your area of expertise. So here at the museum, we have 3 curators, the core, history and biology, maritime history, and paleontology. And I'm the curator of paleontology. So I studied paleontology and was very passionate about it, and obtained a doctoral degree in vertebrate paleontology from McGill University in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And then I did a postdoctoral fellowship, and then I actually spent 9 years in Alberta, Canada, studying dinosaurs and working on how to make, how to restore the skeletons of dinosaurs, how to mount them, how to do the artwork surrounding sculpting of missing bones, and doing life restorations of extinct animals, like that little critter up there, the little dinosaur that you can see, the little model that I made. It was my first one I ever made. And so I was very fortunate to, again, work with people who were really skilled in these techniques and skilled at museum in curation. And so I learned from them, and then I was able to bring that information here, bring those skills with me to work here at the museum.
What's your favorite museum smell?
What is my favorite museum smell? Wow. You know, I've never thought of that before, and I don't think I have a favorite museum smell, although every collections room has its own odor. If you go to some of the older sort of Victorian style museums that I've been to, so when I was a student at the Redpath Museum in Montreal, in the basement it had a certain odor, the old wood, maybe even a little bit of mildew smell kind of mixed in there. Sometimes there's naphtha, like mothballs in collections that you can smell. That's sort of part of the paleontology collection. The smells that are associated with fossil preparation, like the dust that can be kicked up, or even the fumes that come off of the glue. Sometimes you smell some of the glues and consolidants that we use to make sure fossils will last like as long as possible. Those are all smells that are sort of part and parcel of the field of paleontology.
Other than your own museum, what's your favorite museum to visit?
Oh, what is my favorite museum to visit? I have been so exceedingly blessed to have been able to visit many of the world's best museums. The Natural History Museum in London, the British Museum in London. In fact, the British Museum, when I was inside, I was so overwhelmed by the history that was there and the content, the volume of important information that I actually had to walk outside and I calm down and say, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. And then I went back inside and I continued to look at the artifacts that were at the British Museum. The American Museum of Natural History in New York, it's so fantastic to walk inside this giant rotunda and see the dinosaurs there. The Field Museum in Chicago, again, their main Stanley Field Hall has these beautiful dinosaur mounts that are really inspirational. I could go on, there's just so many.
What object would you use to explain humanity to aliens?
Okay, here it is. I have it. When COVID hit, what could we not find in stores? It's toilet paper. I would show an alien a roll of toilet paper and explain to them how unbelievably important that substance is to all of humanity.
What object from your collection would you get a tattoo of?
There are two that come to mind. If I can select two, I would get a tattoo of a megalodon tooth. That's something because they're really important to us, sort of central to Miocene paleontology. But I would also be tempted to get a tattoo of a coprolite. A coprolite is a fossilized piece of poop. But this particular one that's the most amazing fossil I think I've ever seen is one that has shark tooth impressions, bite marks right into it. So I'd get a tattoo of that maybe like right here or maybe like down here somewhere.
If you weren't a curator, what job would you do?
If I wasn't a curator, I thought of becoming a truck driver. I kind of am happy by myself. I like traveling. I love being out on the road. I'm happy to drive. I think that, I would love to even have John's position, like the collections manager. There's lots of different jobs that I would be happy to do. Like even Kevin Lor's position, any one of the educators. I would love to educate. I love to share the excitement of fossils and paleontology with people, with kids. That's great. It's so rewarding and invigorating.